I have a question for all present here. Was that one career goal you're striving to achieve in 2025? Drop your answers in the chat box. Of Webinar Bootcamp 2.0 organized by Tech Bharati College, University of Delhi. I am Aditri and welcome to Be Technophiles, your host for this transformative webinar. Today we are privileged to dive deep into the compelling profile for IIM admissions, led by none other than Ayusha Singh. Feel free to share your ideas, thoughts, or reflections in the chat box as we journey through this exciting journey. We will unravel strategies and insights from Ayusha Singh, an IIM Rohtak alumna, class of 2023, and a triple IT Jabalpur graduate, class of 2021. Ayusha has empowered countless aspiring leaders to unlock their dreams of IIM admissions and achieve exponential career growth. With her unparalleled expertise and a proven track record of mentoring success stories, she's here to guide us towards building profiles that stand out. Before we begin, please ensure that your microphones are muted to avoid any distractions. Feel free to type your questions in the chat box throughout the session, and we'll address them during the question and answer round. Here's a thought to ponder as we begin. If you could highlight just one unique aspect of your journey that sets you apart, what would it be? Share your answers in the chat box. We're curious to know. Now, it's time to welcome the person who will help us transform aspirations into achievements. She's a career wizard who specializes in mentoring young professionals towards the right career growth. She's here to share actionable tips, inspiring stories, and practical guidance for building profiles that shine in the competitive landscape of IIM admissions. Please join me in warmly welcoming Ayusha Singh.
Hi, Aditi. Thank you for having me. Hi, guys. So, I hope you guys are doing well. You guys can reply. Okay, perfect. I believe you guys are doing well. So, let me present my screen and then we can get started. You can see my screen, right? Okay, perfect. So, let me change it, my pointer. So, yeah, a lot of you have been thinking of getting an admission this year into IIMs, and some of you might also be wondering about giving the CAT this coming year in 2025. So I'll give an amalgamation and a mix of how the preparation of CAT should go forward with, and how those who have completed given their CAT and are preparing for GDPI, how what exactly are the do's and don'ts which you should cater to in order to excel in your GDPI and finally land to your dream B school. So, as said earlier, Technophil has already given my introduction, but in case you still have any queries or anything, you can still reach out to me on my social media handles. And the reason why I'm showing this about me section is that I truly believe that every journey starts with a spark of inspiration, and every journey is different. So this today could be your spark of inspiration, and with this, let's get started with our MBA journey. So I'll first like to give an overview of what exactly CAT is. So CAT, as everybody knows, stands for Common Admission Test, and it actually gives you a gateway to IIMs, and they are definitely bifurcated into three sections, that is verbal ability and reading comprehensions, wherein you actually have to focus on reading the comprehensions, and it's not like your 10th 12th examination where you have the unseen passages and then there are very few basic questions asked. But here, rather than that, you have a reading comprehension wherein you have to understand the basic crux of the idea or what the writer is actually trying to convey in that, and that there are a lot of tricky questions and the options are also confusing. So be very mindful while you're reading the reading comprehension, and then it also incorporates your verbal reasoning and grammaticals. So one of the major reasons why some of I believe you people are also coming from BTech, and some of you might also be from commerce background. So for it's usually said that engineering students are relatively good in quants and DILRs, but we might lack in VARC. So I generally suggest people who are coming from an engineering background that yeah, you can mug up the formulas and understand the shortcuts and concept and practice the QA and DLR, which can land you to a relatively good percentage in your CAT examination. However, VARC is something which you cannot let go. Like one day I'll get up, I'll just mug up the tricks and tricks, how the things VARC looks like and grammaticals and how to approach that, and then I will get very good percentile. That's not how VARC actually works. You actually have to put in your small efforts every day so that you eventually do well in VARC in your D-Day. And quants, as everybody knows, it's basically amalgamation of your 11th and 12th mathematics. So people coming from the engineering background, you usually use these in your day-to-day life, like arithmetics, algebra, basic formulas, permutation, combinations. So your QA section basically revolves around that. Then DALR is basically into logical reasoning and how are you actually interpreting the data through graph, charts, table, and basically analyzing those and coming up with answers. So that's how your CAT examination is bifurcated into three sections. Then coming on to how MBA is actually going to boost your career. So the very first thing I actually, people who actually ask me whether I should do this CAT or not, or whether it's worth doing after, especially after beating and from those coming from a CSE background. So they are like, no, I am good in coding, I'll do very well in, in my career, because the pay is relatively very good in tech industries right now. So I obviously tell them that it's fine, that you are coming from a technical background or you are into software development, etc. But doing an MBA actually opens your door into many different horizons you might not even be expecting. So it brings a career advancement in your career. So it actually provides you a managerial role as well as build the 32 years journey actually makes you a better leader and better informed decision maker in the entire journey. So you come up, it could be like fewer down the line, again you want, if you're a software developer or you're doing an internship or want to make a career into software development or tech roles. So this is where the main MBA helps you boost, is that you are better decision maker. You do not procrastinate ki whether should option B be taken as an answer to the solution of my queries, or whether A. You will be a quick adapter and implementator of your solutions. Then skill development, it enhances, since you people are or have given or will be giving the CAT. It will enhance your critical thinking ability, problem solving, and obviously your decision making. How quickly you respond to the situation and how are you implementing it at the same way. And a lot of you would have heard about, like, networking is very important during your MBA times. It's not that people just say it for the sake of it and it's a very good used jargon, so I'll also say this and it will look very cool. It's not like that. So networking basically, by network I mean it helps you. There are a lot of guest lectures happening during your IIM journey, which helps you understand different perceptions and roles the industry experts are playing in their daily lives. So by connecting to these leaders and peers and alumni networks of your colleges, it enhances your ability to switch the job if you are willing to work into the corporate for a very long time, or it also helps you enhancing it in future to, if you're thinking to start your own business. So financial benefit, it obviously brings your financial stability along with the work life balance. So by I've seen a lot of people who are very exhausted and they keep at the end of the day, in the entire week, they say that, oh, I have a very hectic schedule, my job doesn't allow me to do something beyond my job or pursue my hobby. So that is something MBA teaches you. It always helps you organize and optimize your time in a better and efficient manner. It eventually teaches you how to have a better work life balance, rather than complaining that, oh, I have 24 hours and whatever I'm trying to do is exceeding the 24-hour um, of a day. So switching industries and functions also becomes relatively easily, because when you are doing an MBA, you have a holistic overview of the various different domains. It's not like you want to specialize. Okay, one day you got up and you thought that, acha, I will specialize in HR or finance. It's not like you will only have an overview of the finance and HR only, but you also have a holistic understanding of what is happening around the world in a domain of marketing, strategy, operations. So it makes your task relatively easier. And a lot of people have been saying that in the coming future it will not be specific to a particular domain, but the job role will specify to multidisciplinary aspects. So this is where your MBA will play a vital role. And as I mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship support, if in future, in case you think that apart from this I would like to experiment something on my own and start my own career journey, so the entrepreneurship support is where your networking will help. Like, you will know some people in an industry which have been doing something of their own, and it will help you connect, and it will pace up your process in a better way and will fast pace it, rather than struggling how to approach, whom to approach, the right person. Since you will have a better network connectivity, this will become relatively easier to start something of your own. And obviously a global perception is something which MBA provides us. And on the personal level, it helps you build confidence, resilience, and leadership. So some of you might also be wondering that if I am an introvert, how am I gonna be surviving in the MBA journey? So I have seen a lot of my friends who are an introvert, but you are a very different person after you complete the MBA, and the day one you enter into the MBA, you are a very different person. If you are an introvert, you will realize a change in yourself when you have completed your MBA, and you're like more risk taker, and you're not fearful in the sense that you become fearless and experimenting things. Oh, I can take up this job also, I can cater and I'll perform well in something which is not in my comfort or forte. So you can also perform in that role as well very comfortably. So that's how MBA boosts your career. Now, this is for somebody who is thinking to prepare, or procrastinating, or contemplating whether they should start the CAT preparation. So I have always been advising people that some of you think that, oh, I'm very cool, I'm very sharp person, and I can complete the entire CAT preparation, or do the CAT every preparation in 3 to 4 months. But I usually advise them, it is ideally to have a safer buffer stock about your CAT preparation. So the ideal time you should be start preparing for your CAT is 6 to 12 months. 6 is the minimum, which I believe you can easily handle with your college and your internships. So this is how, if somebody would have asked me today that, Ayusha, if you are given a chance to prepare for CAT, how are you going to divide your plans, study plan and schedule? So I'll just bifurcate my preparation into 3 phases. The first will be my foundation phase, wherein I strengthens my concept and brushing up the formulas concept, how to approach the VARC, or how to tackle DILR, tough question or tricky ones. So that's how my foundation phase will initially be devoted to in 3 to 4 months. Then I'll also be, once I have successfully crossed this foundation phase and I feel that confident that yes, I can attend particular section in a very confident manner, or if not confident, I can easily survive and walk through slowly in this section. So I'll start practicing and giving more and more focus on the section wise problem. This is the phase wherein I understand my strength and weaknesses, and this will be the time wherein I focus in putting up my weakness to a level wherein it's just not a strength for me, obviously, but it just is good for me to survive and do well in that examination on my D day. So finally, in the initial, last end of the phase, when you must have said a lot, you must have heard a lot of people saying that mock tests are very important. And yes, it is very, very important. But say that, oh, I will just not give mock test, I'll perform very well in my D day. So that's not how things happen. You're not People do not become successful in mock tests just by giving mock tests. Mock tests are something that make you finally a successful person in your life, or any examination for that sake. So mock tests are something that baby steps which you should take in to finally land to your finally climb your Himalayas, I would say. So the key tips, it obviously will differ from person to person. I would suggest, like, during my undergraduate time, I usually had time on my weekends wherein most of the things were revolving around clubs and committees only, and it was not very hectic on weekdays. It could be for you, it could be some other day of the week, or it could also be the weekend. So just monitor your time frequently and adjust and make a proper schedule on how you are going to manage your time along with the school or classes which you are taking. So that weekend was something I fully devoted myself to, on basic understanding of the concepts and etc. And obviously consistency. So the difference between a 99 percentile and a person getting 90 percentile is only consistency. They are consistent with their efforts, in the sense, like, every day if you are putting dx effort, and one day you just get up and put 1x effort, so the integral part of the dx effort will be more than what you are putting in just on one particular day or for a very short span of time. So that's what consistency actually impacts your CAT preparations. Now you might be saying that, Ayusha, this is fine, this is basic GAN you are giving me. So what is the schedule which actually I should be following up? So if given a chance, if somebody asks me to prepare for CAT today, this is something I'll be following it up on my given my schedule and everything. And obviously you can adjust it as per your liking and schedule. But the basic I would start off with my day is like basic meditation exercise, so that my mind and body both are actively aligned towards achieving this goal or achieving whatever I want in both personal and professional life. And then obviously you can align your goals to QA preparation. You might someday might be too hectic for you in college, and some might be very light for you days. So therein you can skip your QA and DLR if you're coming from a, if you believe that your mathematics is relatively stronger and your logics align well. But reading articles and newspapers is something you cannot omit at any cost. Why I am saying this is because there are some instances in the CAT examination as well, wherein they give you the same article from Hindus or Gartner as it is. So if you have already had a glance of it, it will be relatively easy for you to sail through that section very easily. And this does not, reading speed does not come to you overnight. It's a small initiative which you have to put in every day to get to have a better pace in your VARC. And similarly, this was like VRC was relatively weaker for me, so that's how I landed and scheduled my timetable for. And eventually, when you are in your phase 3 of your test, which I said was like mock test phase, you can obviously plan your schedule accordingly by giving at least 1 to 2 mock tests every day, and then analyzing. Analysis is very important than giving your mock test only, because most of the questions there, under pressure you will be thinking in a very different way. So while when you're giving a mock, there's a different tune to your understanding and thinking, and there's a different tune to your understanding when you're preparing it with a relaxed mind. So while analyzing the mock, you will be knowing that, yeah, under pressure I think in this way, so this is something I need to work upon, or this is a weaker section for me, I stammer or I get very nervous when I see such questions. So that's how the analysis will make you better for your final D day. So that was something I had covered if I was given a chance to give my cat again from the very scratch. But for those who are thinking to start off with the cat, this is the small basic common mistakes which usually people do, and I advise them these things to make them a better taker of examination on the final day. So for those, I mean, I also in the very beginning I was like procrastinating about myself that, oh, I'm very smart, and I'll be able to complete it in 5 to 6 months time period. But no, that is not how things work. If you never know what is the next hurdle you're going to face in your coming life or in the future, so it's better to stop procrastinating and developing a proper schedule and habit to prepare for your any examination, not only CAT but for any general routine for your daily life. So I'll suggest you to start preparing a proper schedule before 6 to 12 months in advance to have a better understanding and sail through the examination very easily rather than having so much pressure, undue pressure. And of course, mock and analysis is very important. Lack of analysis and repeating the same mistake, but you're just saying that, oh, Ayusha, I'm taking 4 to 5 mocks every day, I mean in a span of 1 month, but it's not helping me out. The main reason here is that you're repeating your mistakes again and again in the same pattern. That is not why you are giving your mock. The idea of mock is basically to understand under pressure how are you going to perform in that particular exam and how are you going to overcome that. So if this is the same mistake which is happening again and again, I would suggest you to spend twice the time in analyzing and improving those mistakes. And as I said, like I coming from an engineering background, I was a relatively relaxed person in QA and DALR, and I believe that I was scoring relatively very good in QA DLR as compared to VARC. So I was like, fine, yeah, theek hai, VARC is my weakness, but sorry, so VARC is my weakness and I'll tackle QA and DALR, I'll perform very well during my CAT, so I balance everything. But no, that is the overconfidence you should not have with pertaining to one section only. Because on my D day, what happened was like the QALR for my slot was the toughest. So I was like, what do I do now? I have already spent so much time in solving this question and I'm still not able to crack it. So that was one thing I always suggest everybody that do not rely on only one section for your D day or for any terms in that matter in your daily life as well. Try making your weakness, if it could not be made your strength, try making your weakness to a average standard wherein you do not fall below the average of the performance of that particular section for that examination. So how do I achieve that? You are like, okay, Ayusha, you have given me this basic mistakes, what do I do? But how do I stay motivated for the entire 6 to 12 months? That's how I suggest people is that you just set small achievable goals. It's not like for a week, if I tell you that okay, Aditya, let's plan something for a week. So it should be like, I'll cover one chapter for a day, like it could be algebra for QA, and then I'll practice the entire mock, given my questions and everything, and make a goal which is achievable. It should not be like, oh, I'll complete the entire QA in 1 week. I'll prepare the mock sections, give it ace it, blah blah blah. That's not how things happen. You have to set up achievable goals, because then subconsciously it gives a sense of accomplishment to you, and a confidence that, yeah, no matter what, you will be able to perform very good in your examination eventually. So you have to be your own motivator. You have to bring in the happiness within you, that if I set small achievable goals and I achieve that, I will reward something to me, in the sense of it could be a small 2 to 3 hours, hang out with friends, chit chatting, a movie, anything, something which basically brings happiness to you. Or I'll play an hour extra of a badminton or whatever. So that's how you have to keep yourself motivated. And as people say that you are average of the 5 people you spend your time with, so you have to surround yourself with like-minded aspirant. It's not you say you feel motivated when you are around motivated and energetic people. You should not be revolving your life or revolving your company around those people who are lethargic or laid back, that, yeah, let it be, I'll complete this chapter tomorrow. No, that's not how things happen in this fast paced world. Everything changes overnight, so you have to be always on your toes while preparing for anything in your life or in your personal and professional work. So that's how you have to surround yourself with like-minded aspirant. And yeah, whenever you feel low, always remember your dreams and aspiration in your life, and portray yourself. What if a few days or months down the line, what if I regret that I wasted 1 day of my life in just spending or doing nothing? Rather than that, you'll always feel better that, oh, I utilized in one way or the other to achieve or become one step closer to my dreams or goals. So these are the common mistakes, and these are the tips which will help you eventually feel motivated in your journey of CAT preparation. So this was the section which I completed for those who wanted to give CAT or are planning to do CAT in the coming year, that is 2025. And for those who have already given CAT and preparing for their GDPI, these are the do's and don'ts for your group discussion. So first, I'll be completing your do's, and then how well you should be preparing or presenting yourself in group discussion. So first thing I always will suggest anybody is, like, always be thorough with your current affairs. It's not only about national news, but always be aware of what is happening globally, both in terms of economics, various domain, economics, finance, your passion or your hobbies, where, like, let's say I like swimming, so I should be very well versed about who are the famous players of India, or how are the performance of India, or globally how is the swimming competition, or rules and regulation evolving. You never know what are the questions going to be asked, or what is the topic around. So the more well aware you are of the current affair, you will be more be able to relate or make pointers accordingly, even if the questions or the topics are not related to your domain or your comfort. So let's say I prepared for something on let's say budget, which is going to come. So let's say I prepared for something in budgeting, and the topic came totally out of context. That was law, like law in India. Like, what is your opinion on law firms in India, or how is the law and different sections being amended in India, which is something not my comfort zone or my forte. So if you have read it somewhere or the other way, current affairs, you will be able to relate those pointers in the group discussion. And if you're not very much aware on those topics, I will never suggest you to start first in that discussion. And always be an active listener, because always you will find few pointers here and there in the other person speaking and participating in the group discussion, which will make you have few other additional pointers if you are listening very actively. If you are not aware of the topic, this is actually one hack you can always follow. And always speak clearly. You should not sound arrogant or overconfident, but the other person should think that, oh, this is a very wise person, he or she knows what he or she is speaking or delivering or bringing onto the table. So people should actually look up to you in the group discussion. You should not be like, well, I think, yeah, you said was right. It's not how things happen in group discussion. You should be the one upcoming and always being energetic in the group discussions. Be always respect, others opinion. Not everybody and all of us are unique in our own way, and different people have different perceptions. So you should always respect the other person's point of view. And however, if you do not like their opinion, always be neutral on the ground when your turn comes. You should always know when to step in the group discussion. Like, when you know this is the right time to step in, and you did not like the opinion of the other person who spoke just before you can say that in my point of view, I believe that according to me, India has a better economical position than, let's say, some XYZ country. Because you should not sound like, I think you spoke wrong. I think you are incorrect in your opinion. It should not come up like rude. You should always be the one having taking up the neutral ground. You should not be opinionated your discussions. If you think that you are an initiator and you have very good points to bring up in the group discussion, I will always encourage you to start first. But you might have heard people saying that it's always good to start in the group discussion because then you get the brownie points. No, it's not like that. If you do not have ample of good points related to your discussion, I will never recommend somebody to start first until unless you are well prepared, because your initiation to the group topic will pave the way for the group discussion. So if you have started very on a very different tune than what is expected of the group discussion, you will be the first being eliminated from the group discussion. If the panelist is not if you started on something on the topic which the panelist did not expect. So always start if you have a very well prepared structured pointers to put forward. And always stay relevant. As everybody says, you should not sound like, your thoughts should not sound like haywire, that you're coming from nowhere and you're stopping any abrupt sentence just to make your presence in the group discussion. You should always stay relevant, and people should, connect dots with your topics or whatever content you are trying to convey. And let's say, and this is actually very helpful hack to use examples, in the sense, like, in my one of the group discussion, I was given this topic only, like law firms in India. I have no clue how the law firms were performing in India. And there was one lawyer in the group who initiated the topic and discussion. And from his topic and discussion and the pointers, I got very different examples and good pointers to speak up forward to. So if you have a lack of pointers to speak up with, always correlate it with examples, because then it makes you sound smart, that yeah, your concepts are clear and you're very crisp to the point that you're even able to explain it through examples. So always support your argument with example. It should not be sounding theoretical, that yeah, he or she says something blah blah, now we move forward to the other somebody else discussion in the group. So that's not how you are going to make your presence in the group. Then that's don't it's never good to interrupt anybody at any point of time in your life, not in group discussion, but some in your professional uh, environment as well. You should always let the other person complete their sentence, because otherwise you will sound rude, that oh, you do not respect the other person's opinion or time, and it's just that you are only bothered about yourself. So that's not how you are going to portray yourself in good group discussions, and that brings actually a very negative impact to the panelists. And avoid aggressiveness. You should always sound very polite and humble and well organized and calm person. It should not sound like you're hampering somebody else, or you're kind of bullying, or sounding like a gunda in that group. So you should always be that one smart, calm, composed person in the group. And obviously you should not dominate in the sense that, oh, you why did you say like this, why did your opinion did not clash with the group discussion. You should always pick up your pointers. You should not be too much elaborative, or it should not sound like the group discussion have very limited time period. So it should not sound like you have eaten up the entire time of the entire group, and because of your monologue. You should always be considerate about giving ample time to other people also to speak. And obviously it also relates to no over topping. Don't over explain things, and it should not sound like you're consuming so much time in explaining the same thing again and again. If you have more pointers to speak, you speak two to three pointers in one go, and later when you see that there's again the right time to sweep in, again you can add few pointers. But it should not sound always like a monologue, that you just came, spoke something, and then you just became you know blank after a certain point of time in the group discussion. So always sounds knowledgeable and smart, even though if you don't know that topic. And if never give false stats and facts or figures in that group discussion. It because it otherwise becomes, the panelists are very smart, they make out of it whether you are even aware of this topic, or you're just boasting or bragging about it. So never fake any knowledge. If you don't know, say generic small statements and then explain it with examples. So it also makes your presence and look makes you sound self-driven and very organized person, rather than faking the knowledge which you have, which you do not currently pursue of that particular topic. So coming to the personal interviews, I honestly believe that first impression is the last impression. So always dress professionally. It should not, you know, if your if your schedule in that particular day of the personal interview is at the last, you should be the most energetic and most professional person in that room, so that the panelist who is now tired of taking so many interviews in a day should feel energetic seeing your presence. Like your energy should be so high that the other person actually becomes energetic, enthusiastic, and actually listening and interviewing you. If you are like, just got up, not even combed your hair, not well groomed, and you just came for the sake of it, the other person will be also like, yeah, if he is not bothered about even getting dressed for this interview, why should I put in too much effort as a panelist to even ask him the right question? He will just ask you, time pass, give you 2 to 3 minutes just for the sake of it, and then they will also pass on your interview. So that's always how you should always look professional in your dressing. And obviously, like our parents say, always reach before time, 10-15 minutes earlier, because you never know what the hurdle or might what the blocker might be on your interview day. And if at all you don't know any answer, you should always be honest rather than bluffing about it, because it's very evident when people bluff about the things they don't know. And being a panelist, they're obviously going to be more smarter than us while interviewing you. So always be honest. If you don't know anything, you say, I cannot recollect, or something on those lines, like, I'm not sure on this. Like, in my one of the interviews, they asked me, what is the population of Zimbabwe? I was like clueless. How will I know what is the population of Zimbabwe, for that sake? So there are like different types of interview. One is like, uh, some of the questions are situational interviews. There are different panelists. Some might ask you around your profile, CV. Some of the panelists might ask you around situation, and then there are rapid fire questions also, which the panelists like to take up your interview in, just to test how much stress you can handle. The idea is not to get the answer out of you correctly, but the idea is how well composed and organized you are when pressure comes on you. So that's something you can always say upfront, that this is something I'm not aware of. So always be honest, which actually will help you eventually in your personal interviews. And maintain eye contact is very, very important. Always try, if there are more than uh, one person in the panel, always try to have equal contact with all the people. It's not like the one person who asks you the question should have the entire attention of you, because otherwise the other two panelists will feel neglected. They are like, oh, this person only bothered about this person, I will not give them good score. So that's not how you are going to perform in your personal interviews. It should be like you are going to maintain equal eye contact with all of them. You should not looking me down here there. It should always be eye to eye contact with the panelist. And you should always know your strength, weakness, and achievement, so that you can divert the personal interview in that direction. Like, if somebody asks, like, I'm coming from an engineering background and they ask me something on finance, let's say, and finance is not a forte of me, and that's not my expert area. So what I will do in this case is, I'll say, I have done, like, let's say what they asked me, ki, what is the project you have done in your undergraduation, elaborate me more on that. So I'm not going to tell them the project which performed really very weak, or I had no idea on. I'm going to explain them the project in which I had the best understanding of, so that I can divert and pivot the interview in my direction. The ball should be in my court all the time. So that's where strength, weakness, and achievement plays a major role. And you should always be well aware about yourself. Like, if you are not well about yourself on these strengths and weaknesses, the panelists will think that this person doesn't even know about himself. How is he or she gonna manage an organization in the coming future? So that's a very negative impact the panelists will have about yourself. And before going for the interview, for whatever institute you're going for, always have a thorough understanding of the institute, right from what the logo of the institute depicts to what are the current planning or movements or whatever plans they're coming up with, or initiative the college is doing in the coming courses you're going to take with them. So one of the questions which was asked from me was like, can you please explain me what the logo of my college institute depicts? So that was one thing you should always be careful of. So I just told them the color composition, what the actual logo denotes, how did the idea of this came up from. Everything is available on their website. You can just go scroll through them, what are the faculties, what are the research paper they have recently published, everything. Just have a fair understanding of the institute is actually performing right now. And at the end of the interview, the panelist will always ask you whether you have any questions to them or not. And here I will always suggest you to ask questions. Why? Because then it portrays that you are actually interested in that organization or the institute to join. It's like if you just come, let's say I am the panelist or I'm just interviewing you guys, and I ask you, okay, hey, yeah, you should tell me if you have any question, and you say no, I do not have. So it just looks so unrealistic and unenergetic that you people are not, that the candidate is not even interested in having any questions for that institute or in that panel for that matter. So always ask relevant questions and always look energetic and enthusiastic and excited about joining that organization. Because then nobody wants a boring person in their organization or institute for that matter. Everybody wants that the person is self-driven, energetic, and curious for that matter. So they people in general like curious, excited, and well structured, and people who are upfront in expressing their questions, queries, and don't ask irrelevant questions like how many hours I'll get free in a day to play my football, cricket. No, ask some relevant questions like, if you are specializing, let's say you're planning to have specialization in marketing and you just read about a research on something in marketing, or for any matter, for any framework like BCG. So you can ask something on those, like if the panelist is coming or asking you questions related to particular marketing domain, you can ask him or her, that I read an article on XYZ thing in marketing. How are we planning to implement the same in our institute, or something on those lines. You should always be inquisitive about the learnings which you have read, or for that matter just sound curious if you have no idea also about that. Okay. And the don'ts is, there's always everybody, I believe, for that matter, there's a very fine line between confidence and overconfidence. You should never look overconfident to the panelists. You should always be humble, grounded, and composed while you're answering them. It should not like you're overpowering them, or you have just come to flex about your knowledge to them. You should always look like you're always here to learn, understand, and grasp as much as possible. And so there should not be any pinch of arrogance in your approach while you're answering the questions. And as I said earlier, you should never sound unenergetic or very boring, dull, anything. You should always be upcoming, energetic, and enthusiastic while answering any sort of question, whether you know it or not. And never criticize anything. Never put your colleagues, friends, or organization or institute in a very bad limelight in front of them. Otherwise they will think that the approach of this person is very negative. There are always ups and downs, plus minus in every institute, and everybody knows that. For that fact of matter, you should always sound like you are a very positive and a positive oriented person rather than a pessimistic. You should always portray yourself as an optimistic and goal oriented person, and never use lingos or slangs. Like I've seen a lot of people saying GMGA, which is good morning, good afternoon. Never sound cool in front of the panelist. You should always uh, put your thoughts and sentences in a very elaborative and a crisp manner. It should not be like GM panelist go, and then you start your introduction, everything. No, that's not how things work. The panelist will straight away give you zero in your interviews. And never over explain. Always be crisp and to the point in your answer. So now this is like, you must have be thinking now कि यार do's roads हो गए. Now actually tell me how life actually looks like in a while, if I clear crack and convert one of the IIMs or dream colleges, B schools I want to be a part of. So I'll just give you a heads up in saying that the first few weeks of your college life is actually going to be jam packed and very very hectic, in the sense that in your first semester you're going to have 8 to 9 subjects. By 8 to 9 subjects I mean, with 8 to 9 subjects there will come orientation, different program tasks with your seniors will be giving. Basically our bonding activities will be happening alongside, and there will also be orientation sessions and everything, along with you attending those 8 to 9 classes on a daily basis. So it's gonna really gonna be a jam packed thing for you. But then eventually, a lot of you might also be having a double thought during that phase of your life, wherein you would be thinking, yaar, what do I do now? Why did I take up this, in my life? Why did I sign up for this thing? But eventually down the lane, you will start enjoying these sessions, and there will be a sense of belongingness in you and your team, or for that matter your classmates or your project teams. So the first few weeks at your IM will really be jam packed. This is the one of the screenshot of our orientation where Smriti Irani came up, opening up the orientation and the batches for our IIM Rohtak batch. And this is typically how a day looks like, organizing case studies, taking up the lectures, group discussion, and organizing management summits, doing tasks of your clubs, committees, along with projects and, submissions. So each of the subjects which you will have in IIMs, these are mostly, the lectures in IIMs are basically based on case studies. So until unless you don't read the case and go in the lecture, you will not be able to contribute to the discussions. So most of the lectures are discussion based rather than, theory based in your classes. So, and there are also marks for the class participation. So you, until unless you don't read the case for all the 8 and 9 subjects, you're not going to contribute to that, the very next class which is going to happen. So, right before all the classes, we were like so panicked ki how am I going to do the case study. And then there were question also at the end of the case study, and assignment which the lecturer and professor used to give us before the start of the session. So like most of the initial time, we were like having a lack of sleep, and we were like somehow managing things like anything. We were like, why did we even sign up for this thing? But eventually then this actually, these 1.5 year or 2 years of your life actually teaches you how to make a work life balance, and how to optimize and make the best out of the 24 hours you have in your life. So that's how MBA or IIM life actually looks like. And then there are also, this is the picture of me having my internship at Schindler Elevator summer internship. So this was the first day I had took up a picture on. And then there are also a lot of case competition, life projects and internships and competition happening. You might have heard of D2C, wherein a lot of people put up the case competition, life projects and everything. So there you can sign up and take part in various quiz competitions and everything. So this is the part of this case competition organized by Saudagar, which is an IIM Udaipur event, which is a 2 or 3 days flagship event of IIM Udaipur, wherein you participate in different case competitions, and come up with solution to the problem statement. Or even for entrepreneurship, they also have these different competition in different colleges. So that is something you should participate in, and it provides ample of opportunity and exposure. So you will never regret each, you will not be sleeping on any single day of your life and IIM wherein you have not learned a single thing in your life. So each minute teaches you something in your IIM life as a student. So coming forward to that was a very hectic overview of IIM looks like. But along with that, there are a lot of academic pressure and like peer competition. You're always, at the back of your mind, you just start becoming a part of your rat race, which I seriously don't promote. And eventually you will sink in this idea that it's fine. Like some people might be doing very, very better than you, and some might also be doing average. You have to figure out where you have to make your impact. Like if you want to make an impact in entrepreneurship or a startup, start focusing on that from after 3 to 4 months, wherein you have a fair idea of what exactly you want from yourself in the IM life. Start focusing on that, because the people actually come from a very, very diverse background. Some might also be coming from an art background, some might also be coming from commerce, finance background, some might also be CA, and they're like actually very good in finance for CA people. So you should not be feeling discouraged seeing the other person, because as an engineer and as an engineer, it always says that we somehow survive every circumstances. So you will feel that eventually you will have a flavor of that also in your IM lives. And of course, at the end of the day, you will learn how to have a work life balance. This is the picture of our group of friends, a bunch of us having a Janmashtami celebration at IIM. And this is one of the picture of the management summit which we organized as a team. And this is our class picture, wherein we had one of the last few days left of us graduating before the this end of the MBA. So that was how. And before the start of the summer internship, we also took a trip. So it's, you see a mix of, fun and cultural events, along with having, you know time management is one thing which MBA will teach you, along with having a, personal, you will know when to stop having a mix of your work into your personal life, and how, when to stop mixing your personal life into your work environment. So that's how what MBA teaches us. And yeah, throughout the journey of 2 years, you will eventually feel that it was worth taking a try or shot on. Initially, I will say it will not gonna be a very good experience, but 2 years down the line, you will actually, this will actually be the worst, worst as well as the best time of your life. So that's how MBA journey are. And finally, coming to the myths and reality of what actually MBA is. So a lot of you people say that there is a lot of studies and everything in MBA, and we have to actually study a lot to why to do MBA, for, just to have a better promotion in life, or climb up the corporate ladder faster. But I'll say no, that is not MBA is being portrayed about. It's more also about extracurricular activity, networking, and gelling up with people from diverse background, because you never know when that person, or your friend is gonna actually play a very pivotal role in your life. So the more the people, the merrier, in the sense that you will always learn from these diverse people in your life. And then obviously, people say that I'll do MBA for getting a higher salary job. No, that's not the purpose of MBA should be in your life. You will eventually, doing an MBA from an IIM will eventually put you ahead of the most of the crowd. But what will make you sail few years down the lane is only your skill. And yeah, right now there are a lot of, AI upskilling, prompt engineering, and skills happening, which is actually reducing your time now. It's actually making you have a better balance in your life than a few years down, few years back. So that's how MBA actually helps you in upskilling. But that is not, you should not always have a perception that I have got this degree of MBA, now I'm like done for the year, or for my entire life I'm like well sorted. No, you always have to upskill yourself. And now, since AI is very trending, I will recommend you people to also have a crash or taste of how actually AI is actually helping you in your day life. It is actually now making you, reduce your efforts in projects also. Like, you go and you should know the right prompt, how to type in, and then the project's also done, in an hour or two, in this era of, fast paced world. It's not also, MBA is not about engineering. Different people come from very diverse background in MBA, and they actually do very well from engineering people as well. So never have this perception that if I'm not coming from an engineering background, I will not do well in MBA, or if you are coming from engineering background, I will to by do very good. There is like nobody stopping me. That's not how things work in MBA. Because the curriculum of MBA is planned in such a way that everybody has something to bring to the table. It's always plus and minus. Everybody is on the same level. Like, as an engineer, you will not be good in finance, but as a finance person, you will never be good in operations, or learning marketing jargons or HR. And somebody coming from an want to pursue an HR, or coming from a arts background, he or she will not be good in operation, because there is a lot of calculation involved. So there's always plus and minus from whatever diverse background you're coming from. But eventually, at the end of the day, everyone has to go through the same, crunching of the things and assignments. So yeah, it's a, you will learn how to balance things. And you never have to be an extrovert in doing an MBA. Because if I told you at the very beginning, like, if you are an introvert, you will see a drastic change in yourself since the day you have joined the MBA, and at the end of the MBA, when you complete it and finally come out as a with flying colors. So that's not something the main purpose of MBA is. And life of an MBA is relatively hard to, and it actually requires a lot of hard work. But that's not the only purpose of MBA, but also it's a mix of celebration, hardship, success, friendship. So most of the friends you will find after your BTech, and the best people to stay in touch with will be your MBA students. I mean MBA students, and by that I mean your batchmates as well as your friends. And your friends, these the friendship which you will make here are going to stay for your life. So that is something you should always look forward to, because few years down the lane, most of us will be busy in our life, but this is friendship is something which will make you sail higher up in your coming future. And with this, I will actually recommend your people. So a lot of, so a few friends of us have already all have come up with this idea and initiative of organizing a generative AI workshop on 19th of January, the coming Sunday. It's a 6-hour workshop wherein we teach you how to optimize your time, how to get things done, how to give the right prompt to the chat GPT or generative AI in making things be done for you. If you are thinking of having a better startup idea, how to optimize the problem statement of your startup, or how to complete your project on time in your MBA for that matter. So everything will be covered in the workshop which we are organizing on 19th January. And we look forward to you if you are interested in registration. And with this, I would like to end up this session. And in case you want to reach out to me and have any queries in future, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, my Gmail or Instagram. And I am quite active on social media, so I will respond you back in a day or two. So that's it from my end, and I open the floor for Q&A. So if you guys have any problem or queries, you can ask me now. Okay, so first thing I would say, like for IIMs, there are tri semesters in IIMs wherein you have 3 semesters in a year, wherein IITs you have 2 semesters. It actually depends on what sort of IIT you are talking about, but most the pros and cons of you going from IIT and IIM is slightly negligible in the sense that most of the curriculums in IITs are little, you know, tech oriented, and it's not um, catering to much of a diverse background. But having a holistic overview, I believe that there are always plus and minus in both IIMs and IITs. So whatever you think aligns with your goals is something you can pursue forward your career in. Okay, what holds more value in portfolio, graduation, CGPA, or extracurricular? So, first thing first, your GPA actually matters a lot, in the sense that you different colleges have different bifurcation and marking in their cumulative scoring. So you need to go and check that. But extracurricular comes after you have had a good GPA in your scorecard. So how the cumulative scorecard is built is in the sense that they evaluate your 10th marks, 12th marks, graduation marks. So if that is something falling in their eligibility criteria, they will move forward to something. They would move forward or would be willing to hire those who are having a diverse personality rather than people who are only focused on academics. They do not want a nerd person or something. They want an overall all rounder basically. So yeah, graduation GPA will matter relatively in your score, making a cumulative scorecard. But at the end of the day, after you have completed your PI and they have evaluated you well, therein your extracurricular will play a vital role in your personal interviews and GDs. Okay, any specific news or journals to enhance RC skills for CAT, and what are the other key factors I am look for in candidates beyond the CAT score? Okay, for RC, I will. There are a lot of. I will not suggest any one specific book or newspaper, but for newspaper and journals, I will recommend you to read Hindus. There is this section in Hindus wherein you get these blogs and articles, self-written articles by the writers and everything. Therein, they have a very self-oriented and opinion-oriented articles written there, which is very crass and to the point. It's actually very good. It enhances your grammar, vocabulary, as well as the eye of the process of you thinking in a very channelized and a structured manner. So I'll recommend you reading Hindu, specifically that journal section, wherein they put up the articles on a daily basis. And what are the factors I am look for in candidate beyond the CAT score? They will obviously want an all-rounder apart beyond the CAT score. They should uh, you just think from other person, from the other's point of view. If you are a director or a HR of a company or CEO of a company, you would be willing to hire a nerd or somebody who can get things done for you in different domains as well, like somebody who's diverse in personality or somebody as a nerd. Obviously the answer will be diverse personality. So obviously they look for factors such as extracurricular, how are you performing, what is your communication skills, how are you presenting yourself in front of the people, how are you basically, so they believe that you are also the brand ambassador of your institute. So until unless they do not hire a good brand ambassador, they do not take people coming from diverse background. Nobody wants a nerd in their army, right? Everybody wants somebody who's agile and adaptive. So that is something they look forward to in a candidate. How to choose the right specialization? I will never recommend you people to have opinion about doing a specialization in a particular category or a domain. Why I'm saying is this is because when I joined, I was very, strong opinion. I had a strong opinion about doing finance specialization, but at the end of first semester, so in the first year of IIM, they always teach you all the subjects like finance, operation, marketing, strategy, HR, everything, so that you have a holistic understanding of all the domains, and finally you make a sound and, knowledge based decision rather than a emotional based decision. So I would not suggest you to have any opinion right now about doing a specialization. You will get a flavor of what is happening in other domains, and once you have that idea or opinion about different domains, you will know your forte where you are going to perform well. So I eventually thought of doing specialization in finance, but that is the only domain I did not end up doing specialization in, because it was going bouncer over me, and it was like too much numbers, and I eventually do not like only seeing the numbers. I actually also like to see the result. For finance, for me, from my point of view, finance was something I did not see the end result in, so which was something I did not like. So I eventually landed dropping up the idea of doing specialization in that. What is the average salary after MBA from an IIM? On an average, you can see on the different website the median and the pay package for different IIMs, but it's actually relatively good. And not only from salary point of view, but it actually puts you 3 to 4 level higher in a corporate career. So I'll talk about one of my friend. She got hired for a startup, and one of my friend got hired for an MNC. So the MNC person, the people they hire for fresh out of college, for those having without experience as well as for those having fresher, there was a wide gap between them. Like the people who got hired directly from an IIM doing an MBA was 4 to 5 level up higher than those who are just fresh out of college. So there is a, from that you can have a fair understanding of the, um, average salary a person might expect from an IIM graduate right after the MBA. How can we decide mental and professional readiness of an MBA? Is a work experience much before doing MBA? No, I myself was a fresher, and I'll tell you, it's when you do. I promote. I will not have an opinion on whether you should do MBA after WorkX or before WorkX. But however, I would like to tell you this thing: like if you are a fresher, you always go there, and let's say not only MBA but any domain, you will have a very fresh mind, and you are open more to suggestions and improvement, and you're very agile and flexible about things. People coming from a workers background, they have a very defined point of opinion in different domains, because they have worked up, they had 2 to 3 years of work ex in particular domain. So they're partially inclined towards their way of approach in different things, which sometimes works in their favor, which and sometimes it might not work in your favor. So some companies want people having fresh ideas, bringing fresh ideas to the table, and some people want that they should have a one way of thinking only. So it totally depends your convenience and your way of thinking, what actually you want to pursue your MBA right now, or gaining 2 to 3 years of experience. Don't think that I'll get WorkX and then I'll do MBA, because during that 2 to 3 years you're thinking of planning to do CAT. It actually gets very difficult while managing a job and preparing for CAT. So if you should be doing after MBA after work is only if you think that you want to pivot your career, or you just want to now switch your career from this domain to something else, and it's actually getting very difficult for you to switch without this qualification. So curriculum or connection, what should be the priority? I'll suggest, so curriculum, see, wherever in whichever college or institute you go, study will happen. One or the other way you will study, because everybody else is doing that, is also you will also be doing. The idea is to make as many connections as possible, so that you never know who is going to help you, or when you are going to help somebody else in your life. So have curriculum as a bare minimum, that ye to hona hi hai. Apart from that, you should put efforts in making connections with the people. So more the connections, more the diversity you will have, more the better opinion and point of view you will have in your career. So let's say you want to start or pivot your career, you will know the pros and cons from the people in your connection. You will be able to connect and relate to them easily. So that's where connection play an important role. What if I feel overwhelmed with the competition? That's a very generic thing to happen, and it will eventually happen, I'm telling you. And you should be mentally prepared about it. But as I mentioned, initially 3 to 4 months it's going to be very very competitive, and you will feel the sense of pressure on you. But as I said, you got to find your niche and your place in that particular area. So you should not be overwhelmed by what the other person is doing, but you should rather be focusing on yourself and your long term goal, like where you eventually want to see yourself in few years down the lane. How to remain consistent and motivated during months of your preparation. So take baby steps, I will say. Make small goals, as in, if let's say permutation and combination is not a very strong point of me point or topic for me, and I might not be able to take up the question during examination, I know that. So if I am well versed of my advantage, disadvantage, strength, weakness, etc., I would try to give ample time to those things which will strengthen my strength further, and which will just bring my weakness onto the average standard bare minimum. So that's how you can plan your things accordingly. I'll just say, just kickstart things, and eventually everything will fall in its place, and you will figure out how to manage and stay motivated throughout. Can you suggest some helpful internship or fellowship open for all courses? There are a lot of actually LinkedIn opportunity, which a lot of HRs from the MNC keep on posting. Try to make LinkedIn connection and reach out to the HRs. If you, let's say the company you are targeting or is your dream company, and you want to do internship in them, make a personal connect with the HR from that company as well, so that in case the company does not land up, let's say you're a fresher and they came up and they wanted a work person for internship, so that you can go an extra mile and ask or request or send your CV to that HR, or mail them seeking that is there any other internship or fellowship in your organization for XYZ role. So that is something you can do. I'll just suggest you to make as many personal LinkedIn connection as possible. By personal, I mean not only just sending them the connections, but also building a connect with them on a regular basis. Like, let's say if they have posted something on LinkedIn and that is something you like or resonates with your point of view, you just go and give them a comment or just send them a message that, hey, I really liked your this post. I'm looking forward to more such expertise shared by you. So that is something you can do to build in the connection with them. Executive MBA versus full-time MBA program, what is better? So executive MBA is for somebody who already has 5 to 7 years of experience in that particular industry, and basically they do executive MBA just to boost in their position, or have a better probability of getting the promotion earlier, or they want to just pivot their career to a different, slightly different role. Like, let's say if I'm a operation HR person, I would like to do executive and MBA only if I want to switch from only generic HR to, let's say, HR analytics or something in that domain only. But your domain will still be relatively fixed in that case, and that only happens if you want to have better career, like you feel a very stagnated in your career now, and with your basic bachelor's degree. So that is something why people go for executive MBA. And as a fresher or as a having 2 to 3 years experience, I will always suggest you to have a full-time MBA program, because then have a very clean slate on yourself. You are very fresh out of your corporate world or college, and you are have a better capability to grasp and understand and absorb the things. So the better you are in your opinion and your thought process, the better is it for you to grasp and adapt those things in a better way and skill yourself. So you can, obviously, I'll prefer you to go for a full-time MBA program, given the condition right now, like you are a student, and some of you might be also doing internship or going into corporate very soon. Okay, it was great listening to you. And thank you, Prachi. Thank you for the appreciation. Yeah.
Thank you, Ayusha, for your insightful responses to our participants' question. On behalf of Technophiles Bharati College, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Ayusha Singh for sharing her valuable expertise with us today. Your guidance and inspiring advice have equipped us with the tools to make our profiles truly compelling. A big thank you to all our participants for joining us and making this session a grand success. Stay tuned for more impactful events organized by Technophiles. Don't forget to connect with us for suggestions or feedback. We would love to hear from you. Thank you and have a great day ahead. The webinar is now concluded. Thank you, Ayusha,
Thank
once
you. Thank
again.
you, everyone,
It
for
was
having
great
me.
having you here.
Yeah, likewise. Bye bye.